Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is BestInSlot. Welcome to our brand new Jurassic World Evolution 2 park build here on lovely autumnal Pennsylvania. It's just about to become autumn in real life. I thought it would be an appropriate location. Plus, I don't think we've ever actually built on Pennsylvania, so very excited about that. What we're going to do today is start a zoo-based park build, like a zoological park sort of thing. We did something vaguely similar in the first game, with a focus on biology, which made a lot of sense at the time. This, a little bit less so. It's going to try to resemble, in some ways at least, a real, actual zoo, which means a lack of symmetry, for one. You know, I always love the symmetry, but I'm going to try to pull away from that. You know, lots of winding paths, lots of little shop areas instead of like a big main street, themed, thematic areas based on probably geological sections. So we'll do like an outback for the Australovenator. That's what we're going to build today. Stuff like that. I think it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to try out a different building method, to say the least. Unfortunately, the outback one is going to be pretty tiny because, well, it's Australovenator and Motaborosaurus, and that's about it. But maybe we can find an aquatic that would have hung around in Australia, or what was Australia at the time. I think it was called Gondwana or something like that. I can't remember the continent it was part of. Anyways. So, yeah, what I'm going to do is do what I usually do. In that, I say usually, we've done it once. We're going to do the building stuff in a time-lapse, and then we're going to do the exhibit build in actual real time, and I'll chat away, because I just think that's the better way to handle it, rather than time-lapsing the whole thing. And, yeah, so we're going to build the park entrance. Before we get started, I want to mention the mods we're using. Thankfully, a lot of them still work. I know some people don't like modded stuff. If you don't, Evolution Squares out there does fantastic unmodded park builds, if that's your kind of thing. Me, I like my mods. I'm going to keep using them. So we're using 4 main ones at the moment. Well, 4 only. 3 from Kyodenic, which is the toolbox, which is the one that lets me, I'll just show you very quickly, lets you, if you click the right button, lets you move things around like so. Very useful for doing slightly more creative exhibit builds. We're using free build, which means we can stack things on top of each other, stuff like that. We're using the expanded terrain tools, which is of course very useful for making cliff formations and pits and stuff like that. And we're also using expanded maps, the expanded islands mod by Inaki/IloDev. So those are the 4 mods we're using. It's not adding new stuff, it's all just kind of letting us use the stuff we have in a slightly more creative way. Because what I'm really excited about is this potential. I'm going to show you this very quickly. I'm assuming this is going to work. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. So what we can do is we can put the lagoon decorations up here on land. Now, there's not many places we want to do this, but I think the idea of building like a sea life area, it'll be quite a large area of the park, but building like a sea life sort of part of the park and having all those decorations above the water on the ground might look really, really cool. So definitely excited to do that in the near future. So, we're here in Pennsylvania. We're going to get started and build a little zoo entrance. I'm not going to do any big plazas or anything like that. I'm going to keep it fairly low key. I am basing this partially on ZSL, the zoo in London, / some Woodland Park Zoo, which I don't know where it is, but looks cute. Alright, I'll see you in a sec. Okay, that'll do for now. This kind of work just erodes my brain, to say the least. But I really wanted to keep it low-key in terms of size, so let's just go going from the start. I'll kind of just go through what I've done. Bam, skeleton. Bam, staff section. You know what I'd really love in this game, decoration-wise? It's just something that says staff only or something like that. Now, I know the guests wouldn't follow it, but I think it would actually be really good for creating a more park, zoo-esque kind of feel. You need staff sections and stuff like that. If we could even get a path that limits the type of guests that use it, that would be fantastic. But for now, that's my staff section sign, basically. And they get these very specific lights, is the idea. So yeah, very low-key starting area. Little shop, only a little amenity, and then this is meant to be like a ticket area, I suppose, or like rest area slash ticket area. And then you walk forward, and you enter the big old Jurassic Park gate, and you're very excited about that sexually, and then you go through. And I really wanted to, again, keep this low-key and base it on a few, I think it was Barcelona, that's it, I had in mind. But you walk in, and a little signpost there. I'd love like a directional signpost as well. There's a lot of things I'd love. But I really just wanted it to start with not an exhibit or anything fancy, but a little toilet there, because, you know, start of the zoo, makes sense, people need to urinate and such. And then just a little display section. A little raised fountain on some water, a little bit of forest, just a little walking bit, you know, nothing else. People are just walking around, getting used to the park a little bit, checking out their map, yada, yada, yada. And you just spin along, and then you enter. So this is meant to denote a new zone, essentially. And each zone is going to have like a little bit of a theme, if it's in decoration, or if it's in path style, or if it's in environment and stuff like that. So this is Australia. This is the Outback. We're going to call it the Outback because that's what they would call it in a zoo. So these are kind of marking the entrance to it. You can see the path changes. And I've started integrating these sort of, I have to put some trees there, integrating these sort of cliff areas, these higher cliff areas. Got a big old shop area there, a little bit fancier that time. And yeah, so Australia back then would not be Australia like it is now. Australia back during Pangea, etc., was wet. Basically, it was a cool, wet environment. And actually, in some parts of Australia, what became Australia, I guess, I suppose, was very, very cold. It was part of the Arctic Circle, quite literally part of the Arctic Circle. So it would have been freezing at certain areas. So I didn't want to go the sort of cliche route of making Australia all deserty, you know? I think that's, I don't know, that was my first temptation, but I thought, you know, actually that doesn't make much sense, and we're trying to be moderately realistic here. We can definitely do a desert section, but we maybe put that in the US or in parts of Asia or something like that. For Australia, I wanted to kind of emphasize a little bit of the water, hence we're going to use some fountains a lot, and then these cliffs, just because I thought that was a little bit of something. Right, so we're going to do our first habitat right here. And then we'll lead on to the second habitat, and then that'll probably be it for the Outback. Like I say, we may do a lagoon. We'll have to wait and see. It's not going to look very impressive from the sky at the end, is it? Also, really handy that you can use these research output. Well, you can use the control center. This was pointless. You can use the control center to kind of create like a separate section. No monorail or anything. You do have to hide your control center nearby still, but that's hardly a big deal. Right, so yeah, pretty happy with it so far, considering it didn't take that long. Let's get started. So we're going to build, as I say, a Australorvinator kind of habitat. And I'm going to base it on a cheetah habitat because, you know, according to the thingamajiggy, the species field guide, profile, whatever you want to call it, the description for the Australorvinator, it is the cheetah of the dinosaur world, apparently. Now, I don't know if anyone else has ever called it that, but they did. So that's in universe. It's canon. Will you just go in the right bloody location? Thank you. So we're gonna roll with that. And what I'm gonna use is this invisible fence is going to be kind of a replacement for what would be a glass fence. Glass fence is another thing that I think would be really cool to get in the game. But I do wish we had more like solid walls. I mean, I've never really thought about all this stuff, but now I just want to make a zoo. So it's not really that kind of game, to be fair. But the only solid wall we have is the concrete, and the concrete feels a little bit ugly sometimes. But I'm going to put that there. And put some decorations in there, and then you see it, and that's like the glass. And then we need a more solid fence for later on. I've got to say, by the way, I was thinking about this. If I was in Jurassic Park, I would not trust this invisible fence as far as I could throw it. It just, like, it's very cool, don't get me wrong, I'm really glad it's in the game, but it would by no stretch of the imagination would I be trusting the invisible fence. And this is a carnivore, so I feel we should go for like a fairly strong fence. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna try to keep remembering to do the thing that you meant to do, which is just leave a little bit of a gap between the fence and the path, because we're going to fill that with foliage. Because usually, you know, if you had a fence like this, especially for like a carnivorous creature, you wouldn't have people right up against the fence because they'd die. So we need to barrier that a little bit between the main habitat section, like so. I think already that's a decent sized habitat. I'm going to do an extra little... Let me think about this. That's going to come across there. Are you the same fence? What are you? Are you a numpty? You're not a numpty, you're lovely. It's going to come across there, and then we'll do like a little... Put that in right now, actually. The one thing I'm sad about, we obviously, model editing is a bit balked at the moment, so we can't do it, but Kyodenic used to have, obviously, the fence mod. The custom fences. We have like little tiny fences, and for something like for this kind of build, they would be immensely helpful. They really would be absolutely everything, so it's a shame that we can't use those. I knew that was tricking me. But that would be really cool for the future. Maybe we'll come back and, you know, if... I believe, as far as I know, that actually, weirdly enough, the new expansion helped a little bit of modding, and that it may be something that's coming back. I don't want to make any promises, and at the end of the day, I'm not really involved, but there's promising signs as far as I know. So I'm hoping it's on the way and that model edits will be back, because it's been a weird time for me without model editing available. It's very sad. Okay. So that's going to be how you view the Australovenator. I don't know what this is, really. I don't want the entire back of the exhibit to look like fence. What we're going to do, I'd like to find something that looks a little bit like a shelter. That could well be optimistic, must be said. Okay, I am trying to base this on a real cheetah exhibit that I'm looking at, so what we're going to do is bring that right down, bring that across. Life is hard. Never let anyone tell you otherwise. Life is difficult. Bring that down a little bit. I mean, partly what you have to do is just try to kind of like space out. Just make it look a little bit more natural, you know, multi-level like that. I want a little bit of water over here on the left. A little bit of water, a little bit of water. This is like the watering hole sort of area. There'd be a waterfall there if we were allowed to make waterfalls, but we're not, and that's very sad. But yeah, I mean, this should, in theory, force the dinosaurs to come down into this direction, right? And therefore, you'll get a good view here. Let's get rid of that a little bit. Have it like a... like whatever the hell that is. Basically, just force the dinosaurs down there. We'll put some rocks there to try and build up that idea a little bit. I actually think this is quite a large habitat the more I look at it. I'm going to bring this concrete wall around. Like, I don't really have anything exciting to say right now, so every now and again, if I just say words with a stupid voice, maybe that'll entertain people. It's worked before, you know? Right, invisible fence, and we want to bring that onto here. Now, this is not, again, actually, I think this might work in Kyle's mod. I think this part of it might work. But either way, this, again, if we could use an actual invisible fence, that'd be fantastic. But this is, all things considered, a pretty good middle ground. Now, we're going to hide a lot of that anyway, but you can kind of see what I'm getting at. I kind of want a little bit more height. I don't know. We did say it's kind of like, alright, screw it, let's go for it. Intensity, slope, radius down. Zoom, 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 zoom. And we can kind of like hide the invisible fence at the back there in this kind of like staggered cliff area that sits at the back of the habitat. This is the kind of thing I really need to do more of. I don't put enough focus on, as I've said, on verticality. I've started to do it on Planet Zoo, but I need to start doing it in Jurassic World Evolution. I should talk about Planet Zoo. People do keep asking me. Understandably, don't get me wrong. I'm just waiting for the DLC. Like, I'm pretty sure there's DLC on the way. It should be pretty soon, I think, based on timing. So we'll be back then. I don't know. Might do a little bit in the meantime. I get burned out quite easily on Planet Zoo. I love the game deeply. It's just, it's a lot of work, you know. Now my one concern is this too small? It feels like it shrinks down, of course, when you put all this nonsense in. But let's just keep going. Right, let's keep making really obnoxious noises. That sounds like a plan. I'm gonna put a bit of rock in there. The top part's all super rocky. Fun fact, not really a fun fact. Fun thing I'm going to talk about anyway. I went to see Jaws in the cinema last night. The OG, you know, the old Jaws. It was really good, actually. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not old enough. I'm not old enough to have seen Jaws in the cinema when it first came out. I'm not even nearly old enough, frankly. Missed Jurassic Park as well, which is sad. But my local cinema keeps showing like older films. Like we saw Starship Troopers in the cinema not that long ago as well. And that was really cool. Starship Troopers is one of my favourite films, and just being able to see films like that in the cinema, which is obviously something you wouldn't usually get to experience anymore because, you know, they're old. Yeah, really cool stuff. It wasn't 3D, which kind of sucked because the 3D added literally nothing to the film. I really like this habitat, kind of bringing that out, and he looks really good. Right, let's grab some Australopinators. I want to see how they feel in the habitat and if we need to change anything up. We're just going to do a bunch of 5. Is it 5? I think it's 5. They're going to be colourful. And that's cool. I'm going to random. I've just realised, so I don't have my headset in because it's out of battery and my dad stole my charger. Do I have audio on? Can I check? Yeah, okay, cool. So you guys, in theory, should be able to hear what's going on. At least I hope so. You get a varied... Yeah, sweet. I just wanted to make sure they had patterns on them because sometimes you'll do a random egg batch thinking, okay, we'll get some nice varied colours. That's going to be really exciting. And then they come out and there's just nothing to them, you know? I'm going to turn on a live prey feeder. I don't see why not. I'll put a couple of those in. We're gonna have hunting and stuff on. Most zoo exhibits are not mixed, like carnivores, herbivores. That's something we do in the past. But I think we might do some like mixed herbivore ones for sure, but we'll probably keep the carnivores and herbivores apart unless they can actually fight. I kind of want to have... no injuries. Dinosaurs don't starve off. Yeah, okay. I want to have to feed the dinosaurs. I'm still not sure if combat frequency is necessary for them. No, combat frequency is not necessary. Oh, it's not. I checked. I checked this the other day. So I think in the past you used to have combat frequency on in order for them to hunt goats and to hunt people. Now I know they fixed the people one recently. I think the goat one was fixed in the past. All right, let's get these ship-shaped over. I think... yeah, we're fine size-wise, aren't we? The more I look at it. Yeah, I think it's actually kind of perfect. Do I want to chuck a few more in there? It's actually quite a large habitat. It just doesn't feel it because the map is ginormous. Right, let's just carry on for a little bit. Let's get rid of these trees, actually. These trees are demons. Be gone, demon trees. You'll find no quarry here. He says to the demon trees. Right, so wider path. Just trying to keep lots of curves because I feel like in a zoo, it's kind of what you have. And let's go luxury wide. Wanna be sexy? Oh yeah, wanna be sexy. And then let's attach that onto... that's not sexy, is that? Yeah, sexy enough. That's my sweet spot. Not sexy, but sexy enough, you know? I get by. Right, okay. I don't know what this is about anymore, but that's fine. I find this really disconcerting. The invisible fence. You just have to imagine there's a glass pane there, otherwise it would just freak you out. Right, I want to put some decorations in front of the fence here, so I'm just going to go around with these. Now, my trick for this, it's a little harder to see where you're going, but if you zoom out, like so, it doesn't do that really obnoxious bloody vibrate that it does. What do I want to do? What am I doing with my life? Seed plants. What do you look like, seed plants? Yeah, yeah, I don't know. We are going for a sort of swampy-esque sort of vibe, so maybe we'll stick some of these in there, actually. They're pretty cool. Okay, yeah, we're going to put tons of these in. To change my mind entirely on what we're doing. Tons of seed plants. Do we want to keep the other trees in there at all? I don't know. They look a bit weird. These are really nice, actually. I like how this looks. I'm going to use these in the wider environment as well. It's a good idea, I think, to kind of like pick a foliage theme for an area as well. So the theme for the outback is now seed plants. It's got like a prehistoric kind of vibe, I would say. What I'm going to do as well is put a meat feeder. Now, I don't know if they'll use it because they've got, obviously, the goat option. I'm going to get rid of one of the goats. Because you kind of need to force them into this area, right? At least they're going to drink, so we kind of have to have visibility over here, which is cool. But obviously you want them to be like right here, right? Feeding from this feeder. So, there's a bloody abysmal evening, isn't it? I mean, I'm not even, I mean, I am a real person, but I'm not in the game world, and I find it very disconcerting, I really do. Yeah, the exhibit is too big. I will acknowledge it's bigger than I wanted it to be. I'm going to scale back down for the Mutaborosaurus, but I'm happy as a general concept, I think. Right, we do need more decos. Of course we do. And maybe a little... I want to do a carnival sign, but I've kind of already used it as a staff section thing. Maybe we'll put the skull there. That's like, we're Carney Town, as they say in the clubs. And the fire can also mean Carney Town. It's just because I like fire. More than anything, this is really there just because I'm a bit of a pyromaniac. Only a little bit of a pyromaniac. Not like a scary pyromaniac, like a sexy pyromaniac, right? I'm pretty happy. It does need more deco. I mean, that's fine. You can't walk there anyway. This bit is all blocked off nicely. We need some trees in this little gap. That was going to work, but I can't bother doing that right now. Basically, let's get one tree in there. One tree in there, then we just need a hill, and we've got one tree hill and we're happy. I've never seen one tree hill in my life. I don't know if it would actually make me happy, but I suspect not. Now, I don't want it to be completely covered. You just kind of want, a gap, and then, yeah, it's nice actually. I'm pretty happy with this. We need some rocks, of course. What rocks are we going to use? I think we're going to use temperate for this. Temperate has the funky rock. This is the funky rock. You should be curious. Look at it. Bam. Funky town. Kind of like the idea of like blocking in the entrances to these with rocks as well. We've got the toolbox, so we can definitely do some cool things with rocks as well. Right, I am pretty happy with that, actually, generally speaking. So let's do a little tour, just through this bit, because we've already done the other bit. So you're walking along, you're having a time of your life. You're like, wow, whoever designed this park is a freaking genius. Got a little fountain bit, which I don't love, but that's fine. All these lights here. These are like, you need like a theme for each area, but then you need a neutral theme as well that connects those parts. So it's, these are my neutral theme, basically. That and lots of trees and water, again. You're walking along. I really wish I could have like more than anything else in the world, custom signs. You know, like, again, like in Planet Zoo, you know, where you can write your own information. Because if you just had one custom sign that you could just change the colour off and just put a little text in, that's all you'd need. You could have staff section, you could have no entry, you could have the names for each area you're about to enter. It would actually give us so much control in terms of that kind of design work. Anyways, then you enter the outback, and chilling, relaxing old school, shooting some people outside of the school when I come to look. No. I feel like I maybe need something else to note that this is a habitat, because that it just looks crazy. What if we do? Now I'm hoping. Right, I'm gonna have to pause this for a sec. I'm going to try this out. I like the idea of having like a teeny tiny bit of this fence here. Just to hopefully make it look a little bit less weird, basically. I think that works better already. I think it more clearly denotes that this is a thing, if that makes sense. I don't know. Hey guys, why are you in the shadow? In the shadow? Is it this tree here? It is, yeah, we'll have to get rid of that tree. Can't have that happening. Yeah, I'm pretty. I'm not just saying I am just I'm always saying I'm pretty. No, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it works well as a zoo exhibit. It's a bit big. I would probably cut it from like there in retrospect and like get rid of this whole area and build it up there, and it'd be a lot smaller, but that's okay. Means we can have a lot of dinosaurs. Guys, wait, I can't venture beyond. Cool. I think there's still some little changes I would like to make, but let's check out the viewing area as well. Oh, we want a tower. Oh, Sorry. Blarg. I mean, it doesn't have to go there. It could go here. Right? Let's see why not. Like in the middle. Or there, maybe. I need to have a little think about that, but I'm gonna call it that. I'm pretty happy with where we're at, basically. Hello, beautiful. Let's check out our ostras. There we go. Very colourful. Love that one. A little scratch. Over here we've got a fairly beautiful one as well. I really like it when you get these sort of more chilled out colours. You know, I think that tends to be really effective. Oh, you know, actually, just before we go, there's a few decorations I'd like to look at that I haven't been, which is these more like utility ones over here. That's actually a really good way to theme things. Actually, now that I think about it, that's not a bad idea. If we go into our lighting shebang, edit light colours, we should have a few here. Let's go for some Australian colours. What are Australian colours? I always think, I'm thinking orange, which is kind of just based on, you know, current Australia. It's quite an orange place. Actually, it'd be more like I'd say it's more reddish than that, yes, something like that. Yeah, how do I do this? I've never actually done this before. Wait, what? There we go. It looks a little evil, but that's okay. That's kind of I kind of vibe with that in a way. If we just set all of these to orange though, then at least it sets it as kind of a theme that this part of the park sticks to. We can maybe do 2 colours per area, so it's a little bit more interesting to look at. I wish I could colour that in. That'd be cool. Man, this update is great. This lighting stuff. It really is. Super unexpected. Yeah, I think already that's kind of selling it a little bit harder, right? It kind of feels like as long as we set each area to have a distinctive colour or colour scheme, then it'll feel more like, well, at night time anyway, it'll feel more like you're entering an area. This feels very Halloween-y to me, but that's okay. Halloween's cool. All the orange lights. We can colour in the shop as well. I might go for like an orange-yellow combination. But, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Pretty happy with it. Next video we will do I think we're just going to do a Motoborosaurus habitat, or we'll do a lagoon if we can find a lagoon creature in the game that would have inhabited the Australia sort of region, or that was found in Australia at all. I don't know if there is one, but we'll have a little peek. But I'd like to do a Motoborosaurus. At the end of the day, I mean, it's not high on my list of creatures to build an exhibit for, I'm not going to lie. However, you know, it's the only other outback dinosaur, so we may as well put it to good use, right? So we'll maybe do that exhibit here, here, and that splays off somewhere else. I don't know, we'll decide the next video. Either way, thank you very much for joining me. Let's just hop into first person again. Let's just hop into capture mode. Let's make it daytime first. Bloody Nora. Gotta remember that I don't need to actually swap it to nighttime to change the lights. Which is a really handy feature. Again, the free update was awesome. It really was really good. I love that they're actually hanging out down here. It's exactly what I needed. There they go. It's like a bit of sexual dimorphism going on. Male, female. Because I'm not sure what to tell you lasses, but In the animal kingdom, you're the boring ones. It's just the way it is. There are exceptions, but not that many, generally speaking. Whole gangs together, living their best life. Oh, you're beautiful. What a little stunner you are. My fave. I'm going to call you Clarissa right now. Oh, we can name them again. I completely forgot this is now a thing again. Do I have to set... I don't really want to set up a cutie because cuties are rubbish, I'm afraid to tell you. Yeah, I'm not going to bother with that. I'm going to call you Clarissa, I've decided. But if you want to throw name suggestions down below in the comment section for the Australovenators, feel free to do just that. If you see a name you like, throw it an upvote, yada yada yada. I'm just going to pick ones that I like from the comment section, basically. It's how we'll start doing that going forward. So there are 9 Australovenators that need naming. Next video, Muttaburrasaurus or a lagoon creature, and then we'll carry on our whole Outback section, and then I'd like to do the lagoon section after this. The pure, it's not going to be it's just based on the oceans, you know, because I really want to mess around with the decorations above ground, the lagoon decorations on the ground. I think that's going to look really, really cool. Really nice theming, which of course is something I very much enjoy. So, yeah. Thank you very much for joining me. I will see you lovely folks very, very soon. Cheers, much love, as always. Bye-bye.
Reaching out.